Hello there guys, RMP792 here. Sorry this one's later than I originally intended. Short version, my mother was in a minor car crash on Monday. Nothing serious, she's absolutely fine, but the car is probably not safe to drive, so she's been working at home for the last couple of days, so I haven't had the opportunity to record. So, the car has now been taken away to get properly fixed up, and she now has a courtesy car, so she can actually get to and from the office. I still haven't seen Discovery yet. Sorry about that for anyone who's really looking forward to my thoughts on. Well, I think we're up to 3 episodes of Discovery I haven't seen now. But yeah, I'll get round to it. I promise. Eventually. But for today, I believe I said that I would continue my sort of hypothetical DC adaptation thing, and I want to talk about Hawkman and Hawkgirl today. And the thing about Hawkman and Hawkgirl is that they actually have 2 completely independent origin stories. Because comic books. I can't remember which way around these came. I'm pretty sure the original Golden Age version was the one where Hawkman was effectively a reincarnated Egyptian prince or something. He was definitely a reincarnated ancient Egyptian. And that's the one they used in Legends of Tomorrow, if you haven't seen it, in Season 1, i.e. the season nobody particularly liked. For the record, I don't hate Season 1 of Legends of Tomorrow. I think it was okay. Season 2 onwards is way, way better, largely because they went, hang on a minute, this show's intrinsically silly, isn't it? Yes. Let's run with that. And the series just got a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. But yeah, so I'll be honest, that's not my preferred version of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I much prefer the Thanagarian origin. If you're not aware, Thanagar is a planet in the DC universe that's not too dissimilar to Earth as these things go. And they had a race on it that was, weirdly similar to humans, because comic books. Actually, science fiction in general really loves the species that's weirdly similar to humans. But, I would say making stuff on a budget, but comic books, whatever you can draw. Anyway. But yeah, so the Thanagarians were very, very similar to humans. But with significantly greater technological advances. And one day, they as a species went, you know what, I'm bored with all this walking business. Should we genetically modify our entire species to give ourselves cool wings? Yeah, sounds like a plan. It's the most ludicrous reason why a species is the way it is. And that's part of the reason why I love it. So, the Thanagarians basically modified their entire race, so every single one of them has a giant-ass pair of wings sticking out their backs that are, more than large enough and powerful enough to actually provide them with the ability to fly. And it's one of the few cases in comic books where the power of flight makes complete and perfect sense, because they done got wings, guys. They can use them. And I'll freely admit, that is very much my preferred origin story for Hawkman and Hawkgirl. They are from the planet Thanagar. They don't have wings. Now, this makes any kind of secret identity stuff very, very difficult, because, whereas the mystical version can effectively summon the wings and retract the wings and summon the wings and retract the wings, pretty much at will. If it's a species trait that's been genetically, engineered into them, those wings are staying put. They ain't going anywhere. So the best they could do to hide them would be something similar to in X-Men 3, where you see Angel and he's got the kind of harness holding them in place, and based on that dude's wingspan in that film, he would not be able to hide his wings anywhere near as effectively as he does. So I'd actually prefer it if they just didn't even attempt to try. They just turn up and they're like, yeah, we got wings, we're going to have to deal with this on this planet. Lots of very, very large coats or something like that. But, so, the question is, what kind of film would Hawkman and Hawkgirl be? It's a romance. I'm talking full-on, ridiculous, over-the-top, melodramatic romance film. With some superhero action thrown in. Because that's, again, you're looking for genres in these films that haven't really been done yet. And while it's very common to have a romance subplot or a romance element within, a superhero film or an action film, it's rarely the primary focus. And even when, that romance is the primary focus, it's usually more in the case of, girl you love has been kidnapped, go save her, mighty hero, sort of thing. And this is not what you want for this film. You want this film to be a grand, epic, sweeping romance between Hawkman and Hawkgirl. So my basic plot line would be they are a pair of Thanagarian soldiers who's been sent to Earth to scout it out as, potential, base or something like that, see what the locals are like, yada, yada, yada. And it's a romance between those two as they kind of, Thanagarian society is very uppity, very, very militaristic, very, very strict, and they learn to fall in love both with the Earth and with each other because they've been effectively released from the bounds of that tightly knit militaristic hierarchy. And as a result, they end up basically deciding, no, we're going to stay here, we're going to stay with each other. Again, maybe you can have some elements of, that they're betrothed to, other people because, again, rigid clan structure or, something like that. Again, lots and lots of, twists and turns you can put into that while keeping the focus on these two characters and their relationship to each other and how seeing the human race brings out the best in them. Because that's, that, again, one thing I love about superhero movies, and it's the same reason that a lot of the time superheroes are compared to modern day interpretations of things like ancient gods, so the Greek gods, the Norse gods, that kind of stuff. These are stories that are meant to inspire and reflect their time and their culture. And in that way, a grand, majestic love story is something I feel we haven't had in a while. And again, I don't like Titanic, personally. It's just not my film. And again, for some reason, there's something about Leonardo DiCaprio I just don't like as an actor. And I can't put my finger on what it is. It's a completely irrational dislike. But I just don't. And I feel kind of bad about that sometimes. But, yeah, for whatever reason, Titanic just doesn't work as a film. I can respect the craft that went into it, but it doesn't work. Or it doesn't work for me, is the better way of phrasing it. And it feels like that was the last time we got a grand, sweeping, ridiculous, epic romance that was willing to just be a grand, sweeping, epic, ridiculous romance. And yeah, so I think that could genuinely be a fun place to take this film. And of course, you've got, they have to overcome some sort of obstacle. And again, that can be a bit more literal in the case of a superhero film. They're not, overcoming their culture by, being willing to stand together and stand up against it. And, obviously, if the Thanagarians want to invade Earth, two soldiers from their army aren't going to stop them. And I'm thinking of the big finale of Justice League Season 2 here, where, the Thanagarians turn up and, claim to be friendly, claim to be peaceful, and turns out Shaya has been kind of spying for them all along and stuff like that. So, there's potential there, but that to me feels like sequel-y stuff rather than first film stuff, because that also lets you bring in some cameos from the other League members and stuff like that. In the first film, it has to be focused on fooling the other Thanagarians. That they have to in some way convince them that Earth is unsuitable. And, as a result, the Thanagarians basically go, oh, no, okay, not going to come here then. And Carter and Shaya Hall have to basically figure out a way to, call their bosses into letting them stay while also not, giving away that the Earth is a place they actually want to be, if that makes sense. I swear to God, there was a kid show back in the day that I saw a few episodes of when I was a child. There was about a Martian invasion of the Earth, but the Martians who turned up actually liked the planet and kept sending fake reports back to their boss about how, how difficult the Earth was to conquer. And, they said, they kept sending examples of their glorious, victory, things they'd taken in great glorious battle that was, just stuff like arcade toys and things like that. I don't even remember what the hell that show was called. I think I only saw a couple of episodes of it, but It's that sort of thing you're going for. It's, we have been sent to conquer this planet, but we like it here. We need to con our bosses. And again, so you could have a lot of fun with that. And again, the trick there is to not make the Thanagarian leadership too incompetent. So they have to get sent actual examples of Earth's, combat technology. So say a tank that's got it, say for example they foil a bank robbery or whatever. Yeah, again, some classic superhero, stopping crime, saving the day kind of stuff. And one of the bank robbers has, I don't know, an AR-15 or whatever. Because America, you can buy those in the goddamn supermarket. So they send back this broken AR-15 and like, this was being carried by one of their low-level, guys. This is one of their more primitive weapons. And again, it's the DC universe, so if you want to have, include some sort of swanky tech that's been built, go for it. Because again, Cyborg exists in this universe. Now, granted, I'm not a fan of Cyborg's tech coming from, the alien mother box thing. I always preferred Cyborg when he was just, human technology. But what can you do? So there's all sorts of interesting places you could take this, and because the other thing that the Thanagarians have is nth metal, and nth metal, if you're not aware, is another vibranium, adamantium. It's another fictional metal that's basically magic. It does whatever the writers need it to do. But yes, their maces are made from it and can do stuff like block bullets and all the superhero-y stuff. And if you and again, the other thing you could potentially go into is, given the way Hawkman and Hawkgirl look, you could have some serious angel imagery in here. And I'll freely admit, I'm a sucker for angel imagery. I really, really adore the image of a human being with a pair of giant ass wings. Just as an image, as an icon, I adore that. So you could really play around with it and have a bit of fun here. Maybe some weird cult starts worshipping them as envoys of the gods, and then when the cult finds out that they are just two members of a giant ass race, they start trying to bring the Thanagarians there because they think it's pretty much going to be the Rapture, and they want that because for some bizarre reason there are lots of people who want the Rapture. You weirdos. But again, there is a lot of potential here, a lot of really fun stuff you can do. And again, any kind of flight stuff is always going to be a little on the pricey side. I'm not going to deny that. The flight stuff in Shazam was probably the weakest stuff from the special effects point of view, especially the big airborne fight at the end. But if you can pull it off, it can look absolutely fantastic. The one tricky thing that you've got to remember with Hawkman and Hawkgirl in this context is you've got to obey the laws of physics with regards to their wings. If you want them to hover, they've got to be flapping their wings sort of fairly consistently and actually sort of raising and lowering a little bit as they do that. So you could, again, the special effects people could have a lot of fun and a lot of interesting things could be done with this. But again, so that's again, I'm kind of running out of things to talk about because the full-on Thanagarian invasion, you want to save that for the sequel. That's too big an event for a first story, because there you really need to establish. In the first film, you establish the fact that they were engaged to other people before they fell in love with each other and ended up and staying behind on Earth to be together. And then in the sequel film, we actually bring in the people they were supposed to get married to and things like that. And again, romance, melodrama, all this kind of fun stuff that you can play around with and have fun with. Again, as a general rule of thumb, romance in these kind of films tends to be done badly because it's an afterthought and because the people writing it just aren't very good at writing romance. Or you have romances that seem to sort of come out of nowhere. But if again, it can't be that hard to find a screenwriter who's really good at writing fun, snappy, romantic dialogue between people. Because again, there's lots of films that do it really, really well. They're just not usually in this genre. And again, if you need to, this is Hollywood. They do this all the time. They bring in the jokes guy to punch up the humor, or they bring in the I don't know. You know what I mean? But or they bring in the banter guy to make everybody seem a little bit wittier and in the moment. So yeah, bring in somebody who's known for writing romances and say, right, here are these two characters. They are in love. Or correction, they are going to fall in love over the course of this movie. We want the dialogue to be as good as possible. And again, you need to cast actors who've got really good romantic chemistry together. But again, not that difficult, Hollywood. Just for the love of all that's holy, when you're going through the casting process, cast them at the same time and make sure they're in the same room and actually share chemistry. Because we've seen what happens when Hollywood just casts individual actors without bothering to test for their chemistry, and it always ends up being horrible. The ultimate example of this working well was actually in Warehouse 13, where they knew that they wanted the banter between the two leads to be an important part of the show. So they basically auditioned them in pairs, and when the pair that ended up actually playing the two main leads came in, and one of them slightly fluffed their lines, and the other started taking the mick out of them, and then the first one got annoyed and told them off for messing around because this is serious and they wanted the gig. And they just had really natural chemistry and banter between the two of them. The showrunners just looked at each other and went, "Yep, this is what we want." So yeah, again, that was lightning in a bottle, and that's hard to replicate. But again, you've got time. Get a good casting team and focus on getting two leads who work really, really well and bounce really, really well off of each other, and you could have a really great, really entertaining film. And again, a full-on romantic melodrama. And then, the sequel is obviously, oh god, those people we're engaged to have turned up. This is going to be awkward. So maybe so in the second film, maybe they're trying to keep them in the dark, and obviously that's eventually going to, eventually there's going to be some moment where they find out what's really been going on this whole time, and they contact the Thanagarians, and then there's, and that lets you have a big action climax of them, effectively defending the Earth in some way. And again, lots of fun, lots of really interesting giant action sequences you can do with it, while keeping the character drama focused on these two and their relationship. And one trope that you must avoid at all costs: the I'm going to break up with them for their own good. I'm looking at you, Spider-Man 3. I'm looking at you 100 other times that cliche has been used. It's bad. It never works. Everybody hates it. The only time you can ever get away with it is if it's revealed that that the two people involved actually talked to each other, and the whole thing was them, conning the bad guys. But that always ends up feeling a bit dodgy, unless the audience knows at the same time they do. Maybe do the big emotional scene where they yell at each other and yada yada yada, and then immediately the next scene is them meeting up in secret. And I'm like, well, that went well. You think they bought it? That I'm willing to tolerate. It's annoying, but it's tolerable. If you extend that that BS over the entire movie, it always rings hollow. It always rings false. And again, it's the classic: if these people actually talk to each other, all of their problems would go away. But you can tell a good, gripping relationship story where everybody is friggin' honest with each other. It's not even that difficult to do. Okay, it's quite difficult to do. You've actually got to work at it. You've got to think about it, and you've got to work at it, which is why a lot of the time screenwriters don't do it. They rather lean on the hackneyed tropes and cliches. Or I don't even know if it's the screenwriter's fault in that case. But yeah, for the love of all that's holy, not that. Not the if you don't break his heart, I will kill him. All that utter BS. I hate that so goddamn much. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on Hawkman and Hawkgirl. It's a bit rambly, but yeah. So next week, I will hopefully be able to do like 3 vlogs on Discovery back to back. At the very least, I should be able to do 1 or 2. And I'm also going to talk about the next one in this series, which is going to be Booster Gold. Because everybody loves Booster Gold. Well, except for anybody who's ever met him. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.